You're listening to the Media Man Dan Podcast. Promoting people with passion all over the globe. Interviews every weekend. Album reactions every month. This is your host, Media Man Dan. Let's rock! What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Media Man Dan Podcast. It is so great to have you guys back here for another amazing interview. And when I say amazing, I truly mean it on this one. This is my friend Eddie Lam, otherwise known as Eddie Lam Music, an absolute legend of Vancouver that will bring you the greatest sounds you could ever imagine, including the intro you just heard to my podcast. This guy is part of a band called Cry of Silence. This guy is a basically self-taught prodigy when it comes to instrumentation, and this guy has an absolute love for people and social work. Welcome to the podcast, Eddie. It is so great to finally have you here. I'm so happy to be in the interviewer spot for you. This is going to be so much fun. How you doing today?
I am doing stupendous, man. Thanks for the intro, and thank you for being a guest on my show a little while back during the springtime. So it was just so much fun talking to you and getting to know your realm. It's like, you know, when you have that Marvel Cinematic Universe where every superhero has their own episode, right? So I got the chance to explore your episode, like your own Marvel Cinematic movie. And it was cool to get to know all the common CDs you and I had, the common DVDs we owned too. But then you explore a different realm that I have never explored before with your favorite artists that you listen to more heavily than I do. But it's great, man. I think our love for media is what brings us together, folks like you and I. I'm just so glad that it'll be 5 years ago in September 2020, we met through Joseph from the Virtual Open Mic on Instagram. And the first time I saw you play was you singing the karaoke track to Earth, Wind & Fire's September to Remember.
Yes, September, and Let's Groove. Definitely Let's Groove on that one.
yeah, definitely that one too. Yeah, and so I was so glad that Joseph introduced us to each other, because Joseph straight up said, I don't know why, but for some reason I think you and Dan would get along very well.
And he said the exact same thing to me. And when I spammed Eddie with multiple links, I'm talking, guys, at least 100 links in a month of like, here's the artists you need to check out. Here's everything I do. Here's what I want you to listen to. Here's what I don't want you to listen to. Like, here's a comedy person. Like, everything I could think of, I sent to Eddie. And somehow he consumed it and had an opinion on it, and I appreciated that he took his time to actually waste his day watching the shit that I was watching or listening to the music I was listening to.
Well, here's the thing. When you're in that season, the lockdown season, you got nothing else to do, so you may as well make the best of it.
So incredibly true. And we will talk about how that pandemic changed our world after we jump into your history as an artist, as a musician, what got you into rock and roll, punk rock, whatever you consider yourself, pianist and classical trained. Like you're just everything, bro. I love that you have this wide variety of talent. How did it all begin?
It all began when I saw my sisters who took piano lessons a long time ago. We were still kids at the time. And when I went to their piano recitals, I thought, this looks like so much fun. I would love to try this out. So in summary, I asked my parents if I could take piano lessons. They loved the idea. They're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go all in. And so that's what happened. Best decision ever made, right? It's so funny because usually, stereotypically speaking, right, most Asian parents, they want their kids to play piano, right? They make them play piano. But for me, with it being by choice, I thrived so far in that. And look where it got me now. And I'm really glad I did that.
Yeah, and you just literally stole exactly what I was thinking. Stereotypically, I think of an Asian family, and the first thing I think of is that they're able to play guitar, piano, and violin after they do 64, pages of math homework and read an entire novel. Like it's just the expectations of an Asian, upbringing. And I had a friend back in elementary school named Kenny, he was really into that like world, and he did not enjoy it. So I'm glad you were able to grow and thrive from that experience and be introduced to the greatest instrument, in my opinion, because it is percussive as well as it is string, and it is just incredible.
Yeah. But for me, getting to rock and roll, I mean, it's all thanks to television, right? So we all watch like MTV, or I guess here in Canada, we got Much Music, which is our version of MTV. But seeing all these big hits, these big bands like Guns N' Roses, Nirvana, and then and then growing up, I also listened to Smashing Pumpkins, Green Day, right, Van Halen, Black Sabbath. The list goes on and on. And then in high school, I decided I want to play some guitar. So I did that, right? So guitar and bass and drums were all self-taught for me. But, it took me a while to figure stuff out. But you know what? I'm glad I did it anyways. But I was one of those typical kids that you would hate if you worked at a music store, a music shop. I was one of those guys who would play the riff from Smoke on the Water, Iron Man, Smells Like Teen Spirit, right?
Stairway to Heaven.
No, I wasn't that good. I wasn't good enough to play that. So every guitar shop clerk must be very relieved I did not do that. But yeah, Smoke on the Water, though, that was the riff that every young person wanted to learn when they're new to guitar. So.
Do you like Jared Dine's video on that, where it's like a guy in a guitar store and it's all of the stereotypical people in there, and one of them is that every single instrument, same exact riff, like just like playing a flute, Smoke on the Water, playing keyboard, Smoke on the Water, playing the lute, Smoke on the Water. Like, it's so funny, dude. And I love Guitar Center and all these other spots that have that, for people that want to play music.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that also got me into wanting to play in a rock band, though, is I watched Wayne's World religiously growing up. Like, that was my go-to movie, right? Because it's not just the music, the soundtrack, but the lifestyle that they were living in that movie, right? Tia Carrera plays in a really wicked rock band, and that's what really wanted me to get into something like that too, right? But then you have Wayne and Garth hang out with their homies, driving around, crank up to their favorite songs, just singing with each other. And that's what my friends and I did too. Same thing, right? Drive around, around night, and just hanging out, crank up our favorite metal music, right? And just go from there. We had it wasn't Queen, but it was that same exact kind of ideal moment that we all enjoyed together. And I think that's why Wayne's World meant a lot, is because it's the fun they had that went with their storyline, right? And even though we never had our own talk show, like Wayne and Garth did, but it's just the crew that went along with them. It's what made it so much fun.
So they were like giving you your perfect vision of a dream job. That's what you saw when you watched the movie. Made for comedy fans, I should say.
Yeah.
Both extremely well-known SNL actors and comedians, Dana Carvey and Mike Myers, brought something completely different to that role, and everybody knows the iconic Party Time excellent. It's just everything is satire, but also it is inspirational. It is something where it's like, I wish I had the freedom like they do in that movie. And I'm glad that you said Wayne's World. Out of all things, SNL has had such big contributions when it comes to cinema, especially these days. One of the biggest things that they did is they had The Lonely Island. So like they somehow formed all of those guys to work together. And now, most recently, Akiva from The Lonely Island created the most recent Naked Gun movie, which is one of the funniest movies I've seen in a very long time, and captured the exact spirit from the original. Eddie, as a man of, patience, you've dealt with my anger, you've dealt with everything, you understand my humor as well. What is like your favorite type of comedy?
So besides Wayne's World, I gotta give props too, because Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun, Mike Myers, Canadian legends all around.
They're both Canadian?
Right? Mike Myers is Canadian. Yeah, I think he's from Ontario, I believe, and
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I think Leslie Nielsen is Canadian. If you want to Google that, but yeah, look that up and see if it's true. But I think I understand. I think Leslie Nielsen is Canadian. But regardless, yeah. If I'm correct, apologies if I'm not correct. If I got that part wrong, but I'll
look it up and be like wrong. Put the Trump gif in there.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. But just the fact that kind of stuff, made us laugh, right? So that's my kind of humor as well. But you and I, we have that common love for South Park,
satire.
Satire as well. King of the Hill, satire.
You like King of the Hill?
I love King of the Hill. Like, I was so glad when they brought it to Disney Plus. I was just ecstatic over it, and my wife never. She only barely saw it in passing, but we actually watched episodes together, and she really enjoyed it.
It's like really slow humor. So when I was a kid, there was, Simpsons, of course, South Park, which was way too raunchy, way too extreme for a child to watch. And then there was King of the Hill that would show up, and Futurama. And whenever I would be on King of the Hill, I had no idea what was happening. It was very hard to pay attention, and it was very hard to comprehend the show whatsoever. But now 2 friends now have told me that I really need to watch it. And I think it is time, as it is coming back. Like, they're making new seasons and bringing back characters that everyone knows and loves. I'm excited to understand inside jokes that keep being sent. Shout out to Jason of Slanderous. He is absolutely killing it with sending me funny shit from that show. And I think one of the most impressive scenes is, or not the most impressive, most ridiculous scenes I've seen is when the little boy is taking fresh underwear from the dryer and taking his old underwear off and putting it on, and then he's like, "Oh, it's so warm," and then Hank is like, "There's something not right with that boy."
That boy ain't right.
That boy ain't right.
Yeah, but Trey Parker and Matt Stone have shared this in an interview a long time ago in the late '90s when they first premiered. Right? They said if it wasn't for The Simpsons, and if it wasn't for Beavis and Butthead, there wouldn't have been South Park.
And Beavis and Butthead combines the musicality that we were talking about before with the comedy that you also enjoy. So what is your thoughts overall on Beavis and Butthead being part of pop culture and forming a lot of people's opinions on bands? Well,
that's the thing. Beavis and Butthead were also part of my influence that got me into metal music too, right? So if it wasn't for Beavis and Butthead, I would not have discovered Alice in Chains. I would not have discovered Judas Priest.
Bro,
I'm not.
Canada is just holding you back from things. You got to keep with American television.
and if it wasn't for Beavis and Butthead, I would not have discovered Black Sabbath's music. Because there's an episode where they watched a live performance of Ozzy and Black Sabbath doing Iron Man, right? And so when I heard that riff, I'm like, this riff is amazing, and so that show, even though the animation quality was, let's admit it was pretty bad, right? Now looking back, but it's still pretty iconic in its own way, right?
Yeah.
But and it's just, and Mike, I think Trey Parker and Matt Stone gave a huge salute to Mike Judge and to Matt Groening from The Simpsons, and just the fact that Trey Parker and Matt Stone can, can openly say that these 2 shows have really revolutionized what adult comedy in animation brings to the table. And so now we have Family Guy. Now we also got Archer. We also got Bob's Burgers, right? List goes on and on.
Bob's Burgers is so funny, dude. I can't watch the whole show, but whenever I need a nice comfort food show and animated form, that show is so good to hit the spot. You can just keep it on. You can fall asleep to it. Not saying it's boring, but it is just so dry and so funny. Do you watch Bob's Burgers?
That's the only thing. I haven't really watched it, but I watch Archer way more than Bob's
Archer.
Burgers.
I really need to get into it, but I'm so afraid because in my mind, it's Bob, by the way, that plays Archer, the same voice actor. So I'm just gonna be like, that's Bob. It's not gonna trigger in my mind. I'm gonna be like, oh well, maybe they picked the wrong actor. I'm just so
That's
used
right.
to that character being that voice. But yeah, so Archer's a really ridiculous, over the top, and really well animated program, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and and just enjoying that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know. It's just when you watch these kind of shows, I still remember that first day when Family Guy premiered. Right, I was just like, wow, like this show could either be a hit or miss to some people, right? But for me, it got my attention. And then even though it got canceled after a few years, and it came back like a few years later, that says a lot. Like when the
Mm-hmm.
fans demand Family Guy to be back on the air again, I was just like, wow, like people really care about this show. And now this show is like almost 30 years old. Like you got to think about that.
I know, bro. It's crazy how long it's been on TV. Same with South Park, celebrating the 27th season, getting even more offensive than they've been. Like it's just,
Yeah,
they're killing it. They're killing it. With Family Guy though, and South Park, hilariously, they don't like each other.
yeah, yeah. But
Cartoon Wars changed that, which is no longer allowed to be
yeah,
seen thanks to the censorship of Paramount.
yeah, that's right. But you go back to Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and even Seth MacFarlane.
Yes.
Both are not only comedic geniuses in their own little way, right? But in their own specific field. But they're both musical too. Like Seth can sing. Seth MacFarlane is a great vocalist. If you hear him, when you hear Brian sing in some of the episodes, that's Seth singing, and he is like an incredible vocalist. And Trey Parker, apparently, according to an interview from that he did a long time ago, I read the transcript of it. So what Matt Stone said, he said Trey can play the piano like a virtuoso, basically. So Trey Parker is really, yeah, fantastic.
Is he a prodigy or was he taught?
I have no idea. Like, I wish I could learn more about that.
Yeah.
And I think from what I understand, Matt Stone could play drums. I don't know if that is for sure.
Piano and drums is the perfect combo, bro.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. So, because I know that a long time ago, Matt and Trey, they were playing in a band together from what I read. But so I don't know if that was really true, but I wouldn't be surprised. Would not be surprised if that was the case. But but that's why I admire these guys for that versatility that they got. So we can write funny shows, we can play music, and we can do other things like like what they did with Book of Mormon, make a musical out of something, right? So yeah, that's all I gotta say about these shows that I grew up with as a teenager. It's gotta give props to gotta give flowers where it's due.
Yeah, man, it is respectful to go back and remember that these shows shaped you as a person, and you probably had a lot of influence from their creativity and formed your own creativity from that. Like you said, the mix of musical and comedy, bigger, longer, uncut, the hilarious soundtrack from Team America as well. There's just something about. And same with Seth and like all of his work as well. Like these guys, they're using the right side of their brain. And I think you have that same type of potential, man. And that's why when you give your gift to others, it's something that I really, praise you for. There are some songs that you guys don't know if you're just listening for Eddie right now that were created for a new artist in your same area called Yafanya, who was just recently on the show.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
You had a lot of session guitar work, and you made these riffs super catchy, and you found the sound that you thought would work best for her. And obviously it was approved, and I can't say anything bad. I love listening to it. I've listened to the songs most likely hundreds of times now, but I mean, even the most recent single, I've had that on repeat so many times in a row because I'm just so interested in your playing as well as the vocal work of Yafanya. And shout out to her. She is amazing as a very young, brand new artist.
It was a fun process when we were trying to write music for these songs, because during the whole process of it is like she comes up with the melodies, right? And then here I am, I come up with the chords that go well with it, right? And so I come up with the structure of it, and so okay, the chorus is going to sound like this. We're going to play these chords. and then for the verses we'll do these chords, and then yeah, that whole songwriting process, it was a lot of fun to do that, and I think that at the same time, when it comes to collaborating and songwrite with other people, it's it can be very tricky sometimes, right? But then and other times it's just a walk in the park, and it really depends on the person's vision. But I felt like when these songs came to life, when we hit the studio, we knew that we had something special going on with these releases, because it's going to be in December of this year. It's going to be about 3 years since we first collaborated together, doing all this incredible songwriting together, and so. I was, it was such a privilege to take on that role as, not just to help her write these songs, but also to, like be her mentor, right? And also, try to, provide some sort of guidance and, even consultation during the production side of things too, right? And so, yeah, it's, like going back to the studio, doing that kind of stuff, it is a lot of fun. I was also proud to even help another friend of mine named Sarah. Sarah Toll, she released a brand new song just recently too. And
wait. I know Sarah Toll thanks to you, and I think that she was doing like a big song for whatever New Year that was. I think 2021 or something, and I reacted to it. She's still going. That's, right. That's wonderful to hear. You created a new song with her.
Yeah, so she came up with she came up with this really cool like Broadway style song, basically, right? And it sounds a little theatric, and so it was just me on piano and her on vocals, and that was it. And we got it released not too long ago, and I loved every moment of writing that one with Sarah. She's like, it was so incredible to write this stuff with her too, and just to have it come to life. And she's just loads of fun. I really enjoy working with Sarah, and I really hope that we can collaborate more stuff down the road. But this shows you that like when you work with other people, you explore a different realm of songwriting styles, basically, right?
Yes.
And because for me, like I know, like, you see some successful bands, right? You look like AC/DC and Bruce Springsteen as a prime example. You know what sound to expect from these guys, right? And, they are a one-trick pony, but they do good as a one-trick pony. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like
very true.
Like it's predictable, but we know it's going to be a lot of fun if you're a big fan of that kind of stuff. So, yes. But for me, I'm a little bit different. Like, I like to be... I was answering this in a different interview not too long ago. They asked, if you were ice cream flavored, which one would you be? And of course, the Neapolitan ice cream, because
Neapolitan,
yeah, because I'm all about the variety. So that's me. That describes me very well in that way, because I love to do heavy metal music, but then I also love to compose for background music for someone's video or film. I would love to also do other things like host open mic nights, host other events like piano karaoke, live band karaoke. I love doing all that stuff. Like it's just something that generates so much of my interest. So that's why I love all these different adventures in the local scene.
Yeah, dude. And your main passion is your collaborative efforts, as well as just your creative thought process. Like, you always have this mindset of there is no saying no to something. Like, you're a yes man when it comes to new opportunities. And that's what helps you grow so much in every way. Like you just said, you can go from classical to heavy metal to anything that you've been listening to in a video game soundtrack. One of the first reactions I ever did was to your Donkey Kong, like aquatic ambience. Was it Donkey Kong, or was it a different game?
I think you reacted to the Zelda cover from N64, Zelda 64, where Ocarina of Time, where both myself and Bryce Tabish, who's also a local friend of mine too, it was his idea too, because Bryce bought himself an actual an actual that thing.
It's all good. Everything you think of, it gets cut, and then it doesn't exist.
Yeah. So he bought himself the which we call it that instrument. He goes ba 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 ocarina.
Oh,
Is
when
that
you
what it's
guys did
called?
the cover, when you did the cover,
Yeah.
I was talking about the aquatic ambience you did. That was a different video because I reacted to both of them.
Right. Yeah. There we go. Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah. So Aquatic Ambiance from Donkey Kong Country from SNES.
Donkey Kong Country. Thank you. I was like, I hope it's Donkey Kong. I hope I didn't get the game wrong, but I was like, okay, maybe it is Zelda. I don't know. No, okay,
Oh,
yes, the Zelda cover though. Going back to that, incredible. I love how much extra effort is put on that. Like you're playing 3 different instruments at one point, and it's just like you can't even tell. You can't even tell because it just sounds so perfectly mixed. It's just so full of talent, bro.
Yeah.
So full of talent.
Thanks, man. Yeah. But big props to Bryce because Bryce was the one who brought the idea. Like I said, he bought himself an actual ocarina and he played the main melody. And then we talked on social media, and I said, I said to him, "Hey, that's so cool." And then I think it was Bryce that brought the idea. He said, "Do you want to cover this song together?" I'm like, "Sure."
I love to hear it, man.
Yeah. And Bryce, and people should know about this. Bryce is a longtime buddy of mine who I've known from the open mic and jam night circle too, right? So his cover band used to host one of those open mic jam nights where you get to come up and grab an instrument and play along with other people, right? So they've been always so generous to having me on stage, even when it's not open mic / jam night. When they have their live shows, they always want to bring me up to jam with them on certain songs during their set. So I was just like, wow, that's such an honor, to play with these guys, because Bryce's guitar playing skills are just like very top notch. I always say it's the final boss level of the skills. So
I love that. By the way, it's great that you're part of that community and you guys are building more of a community. Speaking of open mics, you talked about Joseph in the original pre-chat, and I think the reaction, whatever I was doing. And it's important to say this. Joseph is the reason that we brought ourselves to this chat right now. Like he's, a huge contributor to our friendship, but also he's one that brought the virtual open mic, as far as I know, to Instagram. Did you have any inspiration from that, or were you already doing that before the pandemic?
I was kind of doing that before the pandemic because of live band karaoke and piano karaoke. It's the same, kind of, community building kind of event, right? And but seeing someone else like Joseph who inspired me to do it on the virtual basis, he motivated me to do that. So that's why, after experiencing the virtual open mic night for the first time in September of 2020. Then I decided to do my own version of the virtual talent show, just like a couple of months later, right? So yeah. So it's a little bit different, but it's still the same vibe. And we were so glad that we had a different number of people who, including yourself, who came on and just sing a bunch of songs, and it was just so much fun. And despite all the all those crazy things that happened around the world during that time, it was the one of the many things that I know that has helped kept me going because of that community we've built, right? And so just seeing all those people on there who showcase their talent, and they're all from different parts of America or Canada, it was cool to see that. And
you had freaking Kellen Quinn.
He just happened to a live of mine one day. What was I doing? It was just a live stream of me on Instagram, producing a song that I was working, which was TBA. I was working on TBA by Cry of Silence in its early stages, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then Kellen popped in, and this is by the time we followed each other already, right? So, but he just popped in to say hi. But he also popped in when our old buddy, Young Pop, he interviewed me. And then Kellen popped in and watched my interview at that time too. And I remember Kellen just said a bunch of random funny stuff, and I was just laughing my butt off, right? And yeah, And I remember Young Pop during the interview, he said, "Hey, I'm getting a DM from a friend saying that Kellen Quinn's in here." And I said, "Yeah, Kellen Quinn from Sleep with the Sirens." And I think Young Pop, he reacted. He was just like, oh my god, like, and then he mispronounced his name because he got too excited. It's like, I mean, he goes, I love like Quell and Quinn, or or Killer Kid or something like that. Like he just mispronounced his name because he just got too excited. And
Yes.
yeah,
Starstruck, man. That's huge. That was a great moment. I remember you had a little chat with him as well, with a live session, and it was just the coolest thing because it's like the numbers that come with it. That's the big thing about it. It's like, we can all talk to these people in DMs, and it's really, really nice to have that. But during the pandemic, everyone was available. Almost the entire fan base of myself and you, Joseph, all knew each other. So it was like really, really cool to have that circle. But then Kellen being in there, it was like your views go from 5 to 860. Like it keeps growing. The people are like, I have to see what's going on. The whole world was available to check it out. And it was just so cool. In my mind, I was like, I'm talking to a celebrity when I talk to Eddie now, because Eddie's on the level of fucking Kellen Quinn. That's incredible. Oh, incredible.
Nice. What's funny about all this too was that when Kellen was just typing in the chat room, I remember like he had to go, right? So he just left shortly after, and then Joseph popped in just like a minute after Kellen left, and I said to Joseph, "Dude, just missed the guy."
Yeah. It was probably the timing of taking care of one of the dogs, and then he was finally able to join the stream. It always happens like that. If he's not falling asleep extremely late at night, it's always the little things that put him back from getting that extremely exciting experience. But I will say thanks to Joseph, we are blessed to know Madison, and she has been killing it as a vocalist. And I also want to talk about your vocals as well here, but Madison actually had a chance to work with the Joey Sturgis and work with one of the best bands that's in current modern metal. I guess you consider them hard rock. I of course forget their name as I think of them, but you know what I'm saying.
When I heard Madison's vocal abilities, I was just blown away by it. Just the fact that I put her up there with the lead singer from Deadlands, right? It's the fact that you have these really amazing female vocalists in these metalcore bands who knew how to growl like champs, right? But they also know how to sing regularly like champions too. And I was just blown away. But I think what it was too during the whole thing of the pandemic. When I went to join this virtual open mic crew that Joseph had built over the years, it really humbled me a lot too, because I was so used to my local scene for so many years, right? And then it reminded me, this is a big world here. Like, it's great. I'm always thankful and always appreciate my local community in Vancouver. It's a great community, but then to go beyond my own hometown to see what else is out there in the world at the click of a button, on your computer or on your phone. It's humbling to see who else is rocking it out there. But that kind of feeling where you feel like you have to start from square one again, but it's the exciting form of that.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. You've been in bands. You're a vocalist yourself. You always have this mentality still, and it kind of went away for a lot of people that get into the limelight too quickly. They're not a fan of the music anymore. They're not a fan of a person anymore. They're too busy focusing on their own, goals and their own structure and their own, popularity, that they can't really do that. But then you have this fanboy thing that I have as well, where we're just like, holy shit, I think we just found the next big thing. And when you see those people grow to the level that they did, especially the people that were on the open mic, Madison, a couple other people as well that are still making music right now, like, it's awesome to see that. And Travis, I think Joseph's friend, like, he was cool as hell. And he has his own band going. Like, it's wonderful to see that. We are fans and we are big supporters of people following their dreams and their goals and their passions. And, we promote it on your podcast specifically. You bring on some incredible people that have these great, backgrounds, and you go deep into how they started and all of that. Many other podcasts do that, but it's just the connections that you can feel from their conversation with you. Like you created a bond, and you know that only comes from a true supporter. That only comes from a true
nice.
fan and friend. So you know, I give you all the props in the world for that. By the way, the band I was thinking of was Conquer Divide. That's what Madison ended up touring with. Yeah, like out of all fucking bands, Joey Sturgis' wife was in a band, and Madison got to work with them. And I mean, as much as things have changed in political climate and my views on everything have changed, I still support incredible vocalists and incredible musicians that are just going to make it. And younger, the better. These days, like, oh my gosh, you can just see a star, man. And when a star is born, so, you know, just copyright, trademark that shit. When a star is born, and you can just see it in their presence on the internet, their presence in person on a stage. I have my friends in Marina City right now, Ryan Argast, huge fan of him. He was on American Idol, The Voice, and now he's going to give me a shot to talk on the show. And you know why? Because I went out of my way to say, you know what? Eddie isn't the only one that can talk to the big leagues. Eddie isn't the only one that can make connections. And, you know, we're both networking and we love what we do. And the reason that we do it is because we want those people, our guests, to feel like the stars that they are. We want to remind them that they are those stars. And speaking of stars, the most recent song is called Lying Stars. It's about a gentleman who is not so friendly. His last name does not fit into the same category that we were just talking about of nice people that deserve popularity. That is Brian Stars. And you have a lot of thoughts about this gentleman.
So that song Lying Stars was something I've written maybe just a couple of years back, but we never really had the time to bring that song to full production until we had the capacity to do so. And I was really happy, like lyrically, because like one of the patterns I keep seeing, and if you go on Netflix, you'll see these documentaries. You see documentaries about influencers who abuse their power, right? And it's not just the guy we just mentioned just now, but it can also be the other people that you see. Like, here's one example. Like on Netflix, there's that series about that lady in Australia. Remember, she faked that she had cancer or she had some, other illnesses, right? And then, but she did that to sell some of her products, and it turns out
awful.
Everyone saw that. I remember that was on the news too. I was like, you gotta be kidding me! This is insane, right? And then but then you have people like like the guy we just mentioned. So and I followed that guy's YouTube for quite some time too. But I saw the cracks forming, and I was just disappointed to see where that went. And then when people like Johnny Gilbert and Shannon and all those other people who start talking about their experience being a collaborative partner with that guy. It's disappointing to hear that, right? It's like these poor young folks being exploited for all the hard work that they've put in to make this channel grow. And here's what happened, like that, the guy who came from humble beginnings, then ends up being the most hated person on the internet. And it's that same thing, from Batman, right? From The Dark Knight, of what Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, said.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
So it kind of inspired me lyrically to write something like that. But I think we all know. But the lyrics were also partially about the big story that happened to our local scene back in November, as we all know very, very well. When I had to spread the news that this guy is causing a lot of trouble, people came forward and tell me their experience about this guy. And I remember, like, one of my good friends said to me straight up, you should put a song out about this guy. And so we did. And so we finally did it. And that same friend, I remember she told me her horrible experience with that guy too in the music scene. And I'm just like, this guy pissed off so many people. Like, it's really heartbreaking to hear about that kind of stuff, right? It's like this one guy burns so many bridges, and like, what can you do, right? But all he can do is call these folks out, and and we create that awareness, and it helped. And now that channel that once bashed the whole music scene it's now gone, and we were so happy about that.
Yeah, happy to fight the good fight, my friend. And if you guys don't know, go and check out the Rumble link in the description right down below. As I said on the reaction, there's a lot of people that just deserve to not get some respect for how they treat people. And here's the thing: if you're a genuine person and you go out of your way to help people, and you make a mistake or you have an opinion that's a little bit stronger, edit that shit out. It's not that hard. When you're about to put out a product, just say, okay, well, maybe I was a little harsh, and don't put it out. Or if you're going to put it out, stick to your guns and roast yourself. That would be the best decision. That way we can see that you just are full of self-loathing. And because of that self-loathing, you have to take it out on other people, because that's what bullies do. And you'll see that in my blog in the near future from my friend over in Hawkett Media. I think the song is great, personally. Cry of Silence is one of the best bands that you could possibly listen to in Canada. Nice. Not because I'm friends with their vocalist. I mean, you guys are awesome overall, but like the way that your sound has grown from the first album to now, you still kept that punk rock version of your music, but it's also hard rock now, and it's just getting catchier and catchier. The chorus on this song is just so easy to listen to, and I was just pulling up my favorite lyric.
Trust your name. The things you've done should be put to shame. You said that you'd be there for me, but your true intentions are all I
see. When you're saying this, you're fully sticking it to this guy, saying nobody should ever trust you. No one should ever give you a chance anymore.
Yeah.
And I agree. When someone is proven over and over again that they are untrustworthy, it is time to expose them professionally. And you guys did it in song form, which I love that idea. And I love that your friend, whoever it was that influenced you to do this, was all about making it musical, because there's nothing better than a musical beef, especially since I listen to so much rap. Like it's just great to hear disses back and forth. And I was hoping for sure that they would see it on their radar and just be like, who the hell is this? And then be like, well, this is why Cry of Silence sucks. And what they could do right there is boost your numbers so much.
Well,
like they'll be like, who, what? Did you hear he's beefing with Cry of Silence? Who's Cry of Silence? I just found them on Spotify. Here's all their information. And then I'll just sneak in between everybody and just be like, yeah, I heard that these guys are like really talented or something. They've been doing it for like 10 years of their life. I can't believe it. You should really check them out. I think that they do have talent. I don't know what he's talking about. He seems like a hater. I think he honestly was just a fan. And he doesn't know how to like good music. It's showing, it's giving, as Gen Z says.
well, dude, man, I like I said, I appreciate you advocating for us after that whole controversy that happened. And honestly, you know what, even just seeing your reaction to how folks like these YouTubers who want to unnecessarily bash the local scene. It's like, just seeing your reaction is just like, see, an outsider of Vancouver sees this, a video that bashes, a local band, and you're like, I remember you said, so it was fun. It made me laugh. You're like, I don't like that little smirk that guy made on that face. I feel like I need to call the cops.
Yeah, there's so many little comments that I made just to make sure that I could, belittle his exact video style, because it's like, if you're going to put it out there, you better know that you're going to be criticized. Like if you really want to play the game, if you want to fuck around, you're going to find out. And I said it during the reaction. I said it during many parts of that video. It's your choice to go down this route. And when you go down this route, this is what's going to happen. You're going to receive criticism, and that criticism can break you to your core, especially if those people have been on YouTube for 6 years and know exactly how to make a video. I don't know how to do all the editing that he was doing, but when he was doing those little things, especially his yes, that's still saved in my gallery, you fucking asshole. Yes. But I literally couldn't stand watching it, and just that smug the shit. He literally is the South Park version of Tesla drivers or whatever the electric cars were, and they were just smelling their own farts. That's all he is, man. He's huffing his own shit. He thinks that there's nothing better than himself, and that just showed. And that's why I had to just blast his ego. I don't know if he actually saw it and then changed direction, or maybe someone else saw it and then told him about it. Whatever it was, I'm glad I could influence somebody to get their head out of their fucking ass and actually do something better for their community, like, becoming a gamer. Good for you. Go play your games and, mock game controls. I don't care. Cool. Doesn't hurt anyone. You're allowed to be a critic, just not for people.
Well, like I said, the channel's gone, so
it's so wonderful, man. So wonderful. And that channel will never be named because it doesn't exist. How can one What was the South Park line that they said for how do you kill one that has no life?
No life. Yeah, for the World of Warcraft episode. Yeah. But, just what made me laugh so hard too was, remember how in the middle of it, he said something, oh, I feel sorry for Eddie, man. He's such a nice guy. He's got a positive attitude, man. I just feel sorry for him. I'm like, yes. Yeah, I just couldn't help but laugh. Yes. Feel sorry for me. The fact that for some reason I am, that my bandmates and I and our other local friends in the music scene are getting a local buzz. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Oh, I feel sorry for these guys.
Wait, Eddie, why aren't you grifting and grabbing more celebrities to feature on your songs? Why aren't you pushing that out? What's wrong with your marketing, Eddie? What is friendship, Eddie? Why do you have to bond with these people and create a connection and trust and value your actual relationship as professional workers, musicians, and friends? Why would you do that, Eddie? You could do it the easy route. Just grift. That's all that he was showing, is that's the mindset he wanted. He wanted success to come from fake
money.
It's just disgusting, disingenuous bullshit, and that's what I never ever will promote. If anyone does that's been on the podcast, just so you know, your episode's gone. That's how it goes. And if I find you, I will kill. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I'll kick your ass. Okay, there we go.
And this was those things where seeing your reaction to it. Remember how he ended the video by saying, and remember how the interview was so happy-go-lucky, right? It was the complete opposite how he sucked up to me. And remember how he ended by saying, there you go. This is a tragic story of what could have been fame and fortune.
Bro,
how that happened.
He needs an editor so bad. It is so bad. I'm pretty sure he cut out 18 minutes of his final part, and he didn't make any sense. And he was just like, what do I do? And it's I'll throw in clips of things that I'm forcing myself to act positive on this interview. It's ugh. Anyway, the guy doesn't even have a real name. I'm pretty sure his last name is made up anyway. So I'm not even going to say it. I'm just going to say, go and check the link in the description below if you want to hear the whole thing, get more context on that.
Oh my goodness.
And Eddie deserves love and respect
and
praise. Right now, that's what we're doing. We're loving, we're respecting, and we're praising this man's talent and his band. How long has Cry of Silence been a thing, man? And what is your future plans with the band?
Well, it was the thing. We've been around for many, 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 many years. I won't give away the number, but it's going to age me a bit. But our first album came out in 2011, right? And so here's the discography. So 2011, our first album was called Influence. And then the second one was our EP called Community. And we have a number of good tracks on there. And then after that, then we did singles. So during COVID, we had Don't Want You Near, the full band version. We also did a cover of Sunglasses at Night on YouTube exclusively. And then 2021, it was Definition Parts 1 and 2, which again was on your channel. So you should check it out, guys.
So happy to play that every time, dude. It's the ultimate amp up.
Yeah. I was really glad you did it, man. And then in 2023, TBA. And after that, Dead and Lying Stars. But it's so great because it's just the fact that, even though our live shows were put to a halt, even though we had restrictions here during that time in 2020, we still have the opportunity to use our recording gear and just put something together virtually and just release it, because we want our listeners to still have something to consume musically and enjoy.
I love it, man. I love it. What is the next step that you guys have in mind? Do you have like another single, or do you have EP as the thought process right now?
We actually have a couple of songs that are still in progress right now. But because we just released Lying Stars, we've been heavily pushing it. I mean, you've seen it on our Instagram, right? We've been pushing it on local radio and just like independent, like community radio stations. So we had one played in Ottawa on the east coast of Canada. We had a bunch played here in Vancouver for local community stations. So, like college radio and co-op radio, right? So we have all that stuff played there. And we made a radio appearance that like over a week plus ago in early August at the co-op radio station. So all three of us from Croissants, we showed up, did an acoustic version of our songs, including Lying Stars, and it was great. And I just love the fact, when I'm in the station, it's not just me talking. We also got my guitar player Isaac, he was talking too, and then on my other bandmate Ed, the other Ed. There's two Eds in the band, which is hilarious.
Where's Eddie?
Ed and Eddie, right? Yeah. So but he got a chance to speak out in public also, and he wanted to, because Ed really wanted to get himself more out there on social media. I'm so proud of him that he's been doing that. So if you've been seeing more appearances of him talking in our social media videos, we want it to be more of a team effort again. It's not just my band; it's all of us that are in this band too, right? Because they all play such a big role. They help write the songs. They also do the live shows, right? And I couldn't ask for a better brotherhood than that, And I'm so glad that we are still going. Ed's been part of the band for since 2012. And Isaac has joined us since 2014. So the fact that they've been with us for more than a decade says
it's
so much.
Amazing. Yeah, that's commitment, and that's a family. That's what I always tell people is like, you need to treat your band. It's a business, but it's also a family. Like if you don't have that bond, I don't know if it's going to last too long. But the big thing about it is like you guys created it obviously to get your opinions out there. It was a little different. It's a little bit more punk rock, especially your first track on your first album is all about breaking the law respectfully. I absolutely love it. It's like the most peaceful protest I've ever heard in a music form. Like, and I really love how each song flows with it. It's very good. And then the next one, you have a little bit more contemporary, poppy, softer tones as well. And then I Don't Want You Near is, of course, with that same kind of thing. And I think I Don't Want You Near and Lying Stars are both kind of the same advice that we should give for people listening to Brian Stars. That's what I'm just going to say. I don't want you near, and I think you're full of shit. That's what I'm going to say, Brian. That's it.
Oh,
I'm just throwing your name down there.
Although just remember though, because the lyrical concept for "Don't Want You Near" is actually originally about a girl that we knew who got stood up on New Year's Eve. Right?
That's the inspiration.
So you know how to begin lyrics? It says, "We are counting down to another year. It was time to celebrate." That's about New Year's Eve, right? Counting down to another, right? So, but that's why it was subtitled like in the full band version. It's subtitled, so it's "Don't Want You Near," subtitle December 30 Worst.
Love it.
Right?
Love it. So. December 30 Worst. Very fun, very interesting, very punny.
Yeah.
But TBA is the best song, in my opinion. You guys have actually killed it when it comes to the heavier stuff. And that one has a lot more riffage on there that I'm all about as a big hard rock and metal listener. And I love going back to that one. And that's the one that jackass completely forgot to talk about. It's so funny. He just disregards, it's like, dude, look at the discography. It takes 3 seconds. Type in the Spotify, look at what they've released. Like, okay, in your timeline, you're saying that they dropped 2 albums and then they dropped a single. That's not true. You're literally lying to people instantly by not doing the little detail research of making sure that you got either song names right, which I myself mess up. I had Yafanya on, and it was literally coming out tomorrow. I forgot the name of the song that we were promoting. Every time that I thought of it, I was like, and the brand new song. And I was like, what is it, Yafanya, what is it? It's just, it's something you become human. But it's also, you know, you have to be self-aware about it. And it's just that ego trip that he was on. Either way, we got to get off of that topic. You guys as a band are great. I love your music. I love your style. I love your passion. That's what I'm really excited for, is I actually want to have all of you guys on the show in the near future. Whatever you have coming up next, I would love to promote that. And I would love to give you guys more of a limelight in the States as well as your Canadian territory that you guys are from. But I'm really happy you guys are getting radio play and also radio appearance. You got to do a live acoustic track. Bro, that's like Shade 45 levels of fame in my mind. Like that's like making it big in the biz. And I know that to you, it's just another day and you're just, you know, performing like you love to do, but truly it means something. And when people can, you know, witness somebody that has the respect and the care and the passion that you do bring, it's just great to see that you guys are getting that kind of, you know, support.
Yeah. And
exposure.
And it really helped me appreciate so much about the alternatives to, let's say, mainstream radio stations, right? Like, what I love so much about college radio and just community radio stations in general is that they support local music. Even if you're not from their town, but any other community radio station are willing to play international musicians who are not recognized yet. And that's the beauty of it. And so anytime when any college radio plays our stuff, it's like, wow, like this is so amazing. Like someone is willing to accept to play our stuff. But they allow, like, even say, folks like you and I, we could have our own radio show there. You know what I mean? It's like, here's a Media Man Dan radio show, Radio Man Dan, right? And so,
so many nicknames you've created in this almost 5-year friendship, bro. It is incredible.
we went there, right? But I just love the fact that even these not so well known people who may not have a big background in journalism, they give these folks a chance because they come up with a really fun idea for the station. And once they pitch the idea, if it gets approved, there you go. Right. And it's like, it's great. And the interviewer, actually, everyone knows this guy, Nardwar. He started off, he's here from Vancouver, just so you guys know. But Nardwar started off his career at college radio, which is right here in Vancouver. And he is now one of the biggest stars on YouTube for interviews since then.
That's so huge. And it's so great to see that, because it gives me and you, of course, we both do our own interviews for our podcast. It gives us hope that we could get to that level. But you, especially being in that same area, having that exposure and having that connection to Nardwar.
Yeah, Nardwar.
I'm just going to think of Narwhal every single time. Thanks, Mr. Narwhal. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. Anyway. But anyway, like you have that opportunity and that, you know, that chance to expose, you know, what your passions are out there. Like in the main podcast area that we have now, which everyone is doing it, everyone's making one or coming up with one. They can just sit down and they're like, God, what should I do today? Oh, I should bitch about whatever happened to me last night. And they're like, I'm going to do it into a microphone. I'm going to post it and I'm going to call it a podcast. And I'm just like, you son of a bitch. It's not that easy. It's not that easy, but it really is. It is that easy. However, no one's going to find you. No one's going to share that. No one's going to say, oh boy, you're not going to believe what this person said about their own life that have literally no relation to what we are all dealing with. So it's like, we need people out here that are connecting, that are creating a space for conversations to happen, for, you know, these passions to be promoted for everyone. And that's literally what the podcast I do is, you know, focused on. But I want to know, when you started your podcast, who was like your biggest inspiration to go from? Because you knew the right people and you just keep getting guest after guest and they're great.
I think one of my favorite interviewers would be Zach Sang. The reason why was because pre-COVID, I listened to a lot of his interviews. I watched his YouTube channel. He interviewed like all these big stars. But what I love about that is that he does it in such a very calm manner like you can still sense his positive energy about how he's so excited to have someone in the studio, but I still love the fact that he's just having a normal conversation with these big stars, and it's almost as if they're in the room with you, just chatting, and that's it. No big audience screaming and behind them, nothing like that, right? There's just a nice, comfy room, chatting about their lives in a really cool way, and it's like you're getting to know these celebrities on a more down-to-earth level, and it's great. So it's not that kind of thing where they act like they're larger than life. They're not like bow down to me because I am the main character, right? They're just like Zach will ask, like, hey, how tell me more about that movie that you saw, and let's say a big star like let's say Fergie will just be like, yeah, it's been really cool. I got to watch a movie with my friends and blah 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 blah. It's just an example, right? But I just love that, and I wanted to make a podcast with that kind of style where I just want to have a conversation with these really cool, talented people locally who people may not know, but they have a story to tell. Great stories, right? And stories we can learn from. And that's why I wanted to get this podcast happening. So I did. For me, I think you know me very well. I'm one of those guys. I'm a doer, right? I'm a doer. So if something's gonna happen, I'm gonna make it happen. So I just did. And getting all these different guests from not just here in Vancouver, but even just across the globe. I had Americans on my podcast. I also had someone from the UK on my podcast too, right? And it was just so cool to hear their stories, talk about their musical work, or if they're social media content creators, just hearing about their behind the scenes when they make videos, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
It's just so much fun to hear about that.
It's literally the stuff that I include on the Patreon, the stuff that we had beforehand, the pre-chat. But your chat is like so raw and on the spot. And I know that as you're going to get more comfortable with it, you'll get more into the transition of how you want to do things. But you always have so much on your mind. And even when you were interviewing me, I was just like, no, that was a fucking great question. Like, I personally would have gone there. Well, like, I always try to study. I always say, I'm not the best and I won't be the best. But why not listen to people that I think are the best and take notes and say, well, that makes sense. Why didn't I say something like that? And, just incorporate that passion that I see from others. And, that's obviously the promotion part that I'm doing. But I wish I could just relax, but ADHD, don't let that happen. I can't just be like, hey Eddie, how's it going? What's your favorite scary movie? And you'll be like, well, Dan, I think my favorite scary movie. I'll be like, Scream, bro, no way. It's just like you can't not have a reaction when you're me. And that is great to hear that Zach Say has this really cool laid back demeanor, and that he's humanizing people that have been seen as, looking over their ivory tower at the smaller people in the world. And I like that you said that, like, they're not really ego focused. It's more of just a normal conversation. Like, I would, if I wanted to have somebody in the future that would be local, it would definitely be a stupid question of, how is the traffic today? Like, that's a normal question. But since I bring on people all over the world, it is very hard to go to those levels and not focus on the thing that I'm really focused on, which is the music, the passions that they hold, what they do as an artist, as a creator, whatever they're doing. Authors are also going to be on the podcast in the near future too. But like, there's just something about it where I'm encouraging them to get out of their shell and get as excited as I am about them. Like, I want them to feel that love and support. Like I told you from the beginning of this podcast episode, like, if they don't feel like it's genuine care, like, they're not going to, like, they don't want to be there. Go to the Mike Tyson and Howie Mandel episode of Howie Mandel's podcast. He's a great guy, one of my favorite fighters and friends. and then Mike was just like, bro, I don't even know you. And he's like, Mike, what are you saying? And he just took off the microphone and walked out of the studio. And how he's just sitting there, he's like, what just happened? It's like, you overhyped him, bro. Like, you're becoming friends. You're putting all these titles on, and you're like, oh, he's my favorite. Like, prove it. You have to put your fucking time and your energy into it. I put so much research into the people that I bring on the show. I'll listen to their discography 6 to 10 times before I get them on, or I'll let them listen to it with me, like I did yesterday with a new punk artist over in Florida. Pretty much close to Joseph. It's crazy, dude. He randomly messaged me, but like that's what I love to see, and that's what I focus on the most. Is if I'm not doing that, how are they ever going to respect me? How are they ever going to say to other people like, yeah, you should really check out this show? If all I do is suck their dick and say the same things that they want to hear, in their head all the time, like I'm the greatest, like that doesn't do anything. So Zach Say. Another person that you have inspiration from is probably, one of the big podcasters right now that's giving people an open mic in the world of media. And that would be, I know Joe Rogan is one of them, but like the guy that broke out the Finn McKenty story. Like he's talking with these people, and Jesse, was his name, Lee or something like that. Yeah. Like he's showing that other side of, I don't care how much truth you're going to spill, how much blood you're going to spill, how much burning of bridges you're going to do. I want to hear what you're going to say, and I will post it. Like, that's crazy to me. I couldn't do that.
I could not believe when I heard that interview, when Jesse interviewed Finn. I was just like, I can't believe it. But it's funny because my wife saw that interview and she was like, I am not surprised, because she's got a very strong intuition, mind you, right? So when I showed her some of the videos, she was like, yeah, he makes a lot of good points on things, but there's something about that guy's energy that's a bit off. Like, it seems like he's very negative. I'm like, okay, I see. And then when he revealed that he was just like, yeah, I'm just doing it for the money. And I'm like, bang on. Like my wife was right about that whole thing.
yeah, she definitely knows how to judge a character, because she's a people person. You were talking in the pre-chat. Once again, if you guys want to check out the Patreon, you can subscribe for $1. It's not much. We were talking about how she has this social skill, and she's been in a situation before where things were a little out of hand and she had to just deal with it. And because of that, she's, prevailed through so much. She's become such a strong person. And in your own line of work with social work, I think that you've had the same, because if you guys don't know, I used to have anger problems, and it's not something I like to talk about because it's not something I currently have. It was some part of me that was dealing with a lot of stress, anxiety, and trauma from a past relationship.
That's right.
And it just built up into something horrible. But Eddie was there for all of my crazy, insane, extremely loud rants during the pandemic, and never once said, Dan has gone too far, I must step away. Like, it never happened. Eddie is a middle ground man, and he knows how to read people. He understands our true intentions. He understands, our morals, our values, our ethics, usually align in some way or another. And that's what I really learned about you as a person, man. And as that late night conversation that we had one time until like 4 a.m, where we were just talking about the world and society. It was so much fun to me, because I was like, holy shit, finally someone that won't jump to conclusions like Dan's a psycho. So thank you for being a huge contributor to, the society in general, but your social work that you do. I thank you for, giving a chance to help others, and, really just open your heart and your mind and your spirit to making sure that the right things are done in just ways.
Well, I tell you, we're like working that field as my 9 to 5 for so many years is helped me learn so much, to learn how to be, sympathetic towards other people, right? How to be more empathetic, how to be understanding, but at the same time, wanting to empower these people, well, what's the next step to get better, to really, start a brand new journey for yourself, for a different way to live, right? And it helped me a lot, on working with different musicians too. Even with myself also as a music teacher, I deal with all different kinds of students too, right? And it can be pretty hit and miss. I'm not going to lie to you, right? Like some students they don't want to be there because mom and dad forced them to, so they break into a tantrum. But then you may have somebody who is willing to learn, and they want to know what should I do to get better as a musician, right? And it's great for me to lend my mentorship to them, and tell them, yeah, this is what you got to do. Here's what you can work on. Well, what do you want to do, right? I think it's good to give advice, but then the better approach also is not to give them advice, but it's also good for us to ask them questions. Like asking them questions will help figure out what they want to do eventually, right? So if a musician told me, hey, you know what, like what should I do to get better as a band or as an artist? Well, I would probably need to ask you some questions too. What is your goal as a performing artist? Well, do you want to get better at your instrument? How do you want to get better at your instrument? What are you trying to look for specifically, right? So it's one of those things, where we got to make that conversation, and sometimes those conversations are not easy. It can be very tough, but at least we do it in a way. I want to do it in a way where it's still very welcoming. Yeah, these conversations are not going to be easy. Sometimes we got to be brutally honest, but at the same time, don't worry. You're still safe with us. We want to make this a good conversation where you want to be motivated to improve each time.
Yeah. By the way, is that your tagline from your podcast? I mean, you were subtly getting close to it. Let's have that conversation. Is that where it's coming from?
Yeah. So
okay.
It's all, that's all it is. It's like, well, for my podcast, let's just have a conversation, just have some fun. That's the main thing for my podcast on the Eddie Lam Show, is just to talk to people about their passion for their project. As I say in the intros, right? It's the passion for your project, for Media Man Dan's project. So, let's talk about it. Wow, you're so into it. I would love to know your interests. And as you heard those conversations, I'll get deep into certain rabbit holes too, right? So whenever someone mentions like their favorite movie, and if I know of the movie, I'm going to say, oh yeah, cool. And what do you like about Meryl Streep's acting style? Why do you admire?
Yes.
Right.
The addition that you add to the conversation is my favorite part, dude. And that's why when I listen to the show, I'm always like, damn, I should really start asking these questions, like, because this is all raw on the spot as well. But I mean, I have a little less years than you, and I'm just getting more comfortable with the going from fanboy to full-on host of a podcast. It's a very different world. But back to what you were saying for the kids, do you tend to have that same energy and mindset when you're trying to give advice to your students?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that we want to know as someone who's trying to help other people want to get their music out there, right? It's like, well, what is your goal? Like, what do you want to get out of this, right? And you gotta ask them that kind of stuff, because that's something they need to ask themselves too, right? And if it's and however you want to do it in the future once they get older, that's up to them. Right? If their goal is to gain more followers, that's cool. That's awesome. Or, if my goal, or let's say their goal is to want to get better at the bass guitar or the drums, whatever it may be, I'll be like, cool. That's good. So do you have a nice plan on how to do that? Right. And that stuff, it's always important that, I could give them as many advice as they can, but it's true though, but they got to make sure that they can figure out and know what they want to do down the road as well. But and
solitary decision. It has to be, but I mean, it can be influenced, but it has to be you as you are a doer. You understand that these kids, they have to follow through on what they're going to say. So in my mind, I always think of people that teach people, other people or younger people music. I always think of School of Rock, the movie where they say, here's this boring ass shit that you've been told all your life. Let's talk about real music. What are you jamming to when your parents aren't around? Like, that's the kind of energy that you need to bring to somebody that's going to have that musical ability. Like, it's somebody that actually has the passion for it. You can be like, who do you listen to? And you can be like, oh, I love them, but you should really check out this if you really want to advance your guitar skill or your drums or whatever it is that you're really working on. And for me, I love vocals. So I always love to see someone's evolution as a vocalist. So having the youngest generations ask you for advice and the things that you must give them to give them that hope. I mean, we were talking about Yefanya before, and probably Sarah when she started her career as well. Both of them, like they have this passion and this star in their eye that they know that they can do this, and you can feel that presence with them. And so you're like, I want to help. I want to do whatever I can to guide you in the right way, or to give you advice, or to help you get to that level that you should be on right now. So I think you're the best, man. Seriously.
Thanks. Thank you. Appreciate that. And one of the things, though, I had to learn so much about, teaching or just mentoring people who are new to that kind of field when it comes to being in the live music scene. Like, they're always excited. They got this big ball of energy, right? But then there are those times where we're going to be like, all right, guys, let's settle down here. Let's slow down a bit. Settle down. Let's start from one step to another first before we jump even further, because you don't want to like jump too far ahead and then you miss some really important steps, and it's like, and then if you're like, oh crap, like why did I do that? And then I might have to say, dude, I told you. I told you straight up, right? But but it's always a good learning lesson for some people I help out too, right? But yeah, I get it though. I've been there. I've been overly excited about something, and I figure, this is gonna happen on this day. This is gonna happen by this timeline. Blah 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 blah. When reality hits you, it's just like, oh my goodness, like why didn't this happen, right? And so, and my wife has a really funny term for that. The term is called Disney thinking.
All right, explain what Disney thinking is, because that sounds incredible.
If you're in La La Land, it's like you fantasize, I'm gonna be, playing at this big festival within 6 months from now, right? or that whole thing. Let's say you have a show coming up. It's like, oh, cool. I get to go there. And I'm going to assume that all this gear is provided and it's all ready for us. We just have to hop on instruments and start playing, and then that's it. And there's probably a record company executive that's hanging out in the audience somewhere. No, that doesn't happen in real life like that. And it's Hollywood misportrays music sometimes. Like,
oh yeah,
especially if you watch, I mean, yeah, it's fun to watch these shows like, Josie and the Pussycats. What else was there? Like Wayne's World. There's also what else was there? Like Alvin and the Chipmunks movie, even, right? Or
True. That actually did the realistic version of what happens when you become famous, though. Like they kind of hinted at it for a kids movie. That was good.
I will give them credit for that. But then you have other, Hannah Montana, right?
Straight out of Compton.
Straight out of Compton. But yeah, straight out of Compton as well. But I think the only one show that I felt was the most realistic of what indie musicians like us go through is that anime. It's called Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. I don't know if you've ever watched that anime before, but Beck Mongolian Chop Squad is about independent musicians in Japan. They formed a band together, but you don't see just like them doing gigs, but you also see their personal lives outside of playing gigs, right? And I love that show so much because it shows you the most realistic way of these are just independent musicians, because once they finish their gigs, they got to go back to their 9-to-5s again, and they still have to take out the trash. They still have to go to school.
Yeah,
all that stuff. Yeah,
see their families, see their grandparents, see their cousins, see everybody, and of course their work, because always going. In their mind, they're going to be that star and probably will be one day, but it's a lot of time management to get to that point. And
Yeah, exactly.
Reality is great for that. It's a real good, it's a reality check, literally. A body check, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of reality too, like when you talk, even when you see those reality TV contests like American Idol and The Voice, right?
Oh,
America's Got
dude,
Talent.
I'm so upset with that shit these days. It is.
Yeah.
Ever since Rumi exposed how those shows are made, I just notice it more and more with the editing.
Also,
that these things are not real.
check out that YouTube channel Buzzkill. The guy who narrates that on those videos, he talks about reality shows that have fallen off the rails too, and he's done a good job doing that. The thing is, though, like I remember watching American Idol and The Voice. Like you can't deny though the talent there. It's amazing. Adam Lambert, right? Clay Aiken, all those other
Kelly
contestants. Kelly Clarkson, of course, right? But then that one channel I told, but the Buzzkill channel talked about the pattern that they see though. It's like, yeah, the first place winners who won, you think that's it, cool, the one-way ticket to fame, right? But for some reason, you see this pattern. The non-winners are the ones that are actually winning now. After
David Archuleta,
yeah, Jennifer Hudson, right?
Jennifer Hudson, yes,
right. And it's like, well, look, like, why are these non-winners doing so well? Because they did not win American Idol, but they seem to be doing well. So I think that proves the point. There's something flawed about the American Idol first place system.
Yes, and the second place, here's the thing: you get the exposure, you get the fans, right? You have already, it's the one or the other situation. That's always the most annoying part of the whole show. It's like we can tell who's going to be the winner a mile away if they have the saddest story before they start their stupid song.
Yeah. And
your dog died last week. Oh my god! Yeah,
and
golden buzzer. It's like,
and you can tell just by the video package before they go up and perform.
Oh, it's horrible, dude. So pre-scripted. Right?
Yeah.
Horrible. And they make families actually read scripts too, which disgusts me. To know that like these people can't actually be who they are or have their houses look the way that they do. I'm guessing they probably find a set, and this is probably going to get me sued. I'm guessing they probably find a set that looks like their house and just form it. And they're like, oh, action.
Yeah.
All right, Mom, you're standing in the kitchen. You're creating a salad. Dad, you're just coming home from work and you have a briefcase. All right, let's go.
Yeah. Exactly.
We live in the countryside. Shut up and get rid of your accents.
It's just one of those funny things where it's like, oh yeah, we come from like the little farm town of Kentucky, and it's always been my dream to pursue the big city and blah blah blah. I'm like, we've heard this a million times, man.
Yeah. One of these people is actually genuine, but there's most of them that are just doing it for the fame. By the way, the fame part of it, you were talking about second place winner versus first place winner. So, in my opinion, David Archuleta, 10 times better than David Cook. That's my own bias there. I love this stuff. But the reason I do love him is because his one single, Crush, came out and changed my mindset. I was like, whoa, this guy's really good. And I really thought about his music for a while. And I was like, well, David Cook was the winner. Let's see what he does next.
Yeah.
There is nothing. Yeah. I mean, he probably had something, but it wasn't as hyped. It wasn't as focused on. And Archuleta already had that exposure out. So he started putting out more music. He started riding the wave. As the other dude had already won, he thought he could just, coast. I'm just going to coast for a little bit because I've already made it. And you could see that David Archuleta, with his work ethic, putting Christmas album, another pop album, making these big singles, even if they didn't hit as big as other songs at the time, they were still really, really well made. And I do listen to his discography now, and I go, damn, I really wish I knew about this. And I wish I had streaming back in 2010. But I mean, it's so good to see that these people, after they don't get to that number one level, work harder and harder to be that number one level. Like the number one guys, except for, special occasions, Adam Lambert, the vocalist of Queen, Like what? And Kelly Clarkson gifted, Carrie Underwood gifted,
but
you know.
But that's the thing though, because Adam did not win first place at that season. Like it was Chris Allen that won the first place for that.
Oh, Chris Allen won that one?
Yeah. So Chris won that one. So Adam lost to him. Adam came in second place. But again, another prime example. Adam was second place, did not win, but look at him, sings for Queen.
Like, yeah, where's Chris Allen these days?
I don't know.
One song, "Live Like You're Dying." One song from David Cook, "Leave the Light On." There's nothing else that is it. "Leave the Light On." Yeah, there's like nothing else that you can remember from these people. But then all these, you know, runner-ups, they always have this huge discography that you're like, oh, I like that song and that song and that song and that's like it's crazy, dude. I love it.
And again, and that shows your system is flawed, right? Like that show system is flawed, and I know I might get in trouble for saying that, but you know what? It is. It proves that point that everyone is saying, right? I'm sorry, but you see the pattern going on here, guys? Like,
yeah. And so what it gives is the kids, especially we were talking about it before, going back to that, the kids are getting false hope. They're getting this mindset. Their ego is being boosted. Disney thinking, and romanticizing their stories. And Eminem, famous for doing this, adds so much extra trauma or so much exaggeration to his own story to make sure that people can feel something from it. Other artists do the same thing. They write about other people, and then someone goes, "Oh, did you hear that Thomas Rhett song? That was just that was the worst breakup." And I'm like, breakup? He's been married to his wife for like 10 years. What do you mean breakup? He wrote a breakup song from probably his younger years, or figured out a way to make it as relatable and sad as can be, and everybody flocked to it like flies to shit. It just happens every single time where these people have figured out a certain, it's like an algorithm, honestly. It's a certain thing that they follow this certain trend or create this certain trend, and then everyone else follows suit. And what that is destroying originality. So if you do have Disney brain and you do think that way and you do want to make it big and you do want to sell yourself out, go for it, but you'll never be satisfied. You'll never be an actual musician, and you'll never be respected in the world of music, because what you're doing is you're copy paste.
Yeah, and you're going to feel the consequences that comes along with it, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know what it is, but you can, the internet's out there. You can read all these stories about people like JoJo had a huge lawsuit issue, right? And and so there's that, and there's many other lawsuits you can check out too. But in summary too, because because I think like folks like you and I, and even Joseph and I think we relate more. Like we're kind of like the working man's musician, basically. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's where we're at, and I think there's a lot of respect for that because here you see these really talented cats hustling big time, right? And some of us, we may work in jobs that we may not like. Somebody is busy, let's say, serving donuts at a Dunkin' Donuts or flipping burgers at McDonald's. But then when they're not working, they're still doing other things on the business side to get their music out there. And I give mad respect to people who do that, because here you are, because not all of us have connections to some of the bigwigs out there. But even if they're still making the effort to network, they're still making the effort to still have to work their jobs to pay the bills and pay the expenses to make their music happen. A lot has to be said about that, right? And it's so much respect, because look at all the effort, and look at, and even when you hear the stuff that they produce, if you can sense there's a lot of great raw talent in those recordings, like it gets a lot of my respect personally, just because I'm a fan of like people who work so hard. They work countless hours and days and years to get the sound that they wanted in their recordings.
Yes, they don't just believe that it's ready and then send it to someone else that masters it or auto-tunes everything, and then they're like, wow, that was a perfect project, here you go. It's not as satisfying to know that these people, they're not really putting their all in. And like you were just saying, it's the work ethic portion. And that's what the
That's
kids
right.
need to understand. It's like the harder you work, even just to get to second place, you will be more respected.
Yeah.
It's the less amount of work where you're Taylor Swift level. You drop anything, you can put out a shitty song right now, and someone is going to be like, "This is the greatest thing because it's Taylor Swift." And the same thing goes for, K-pop, anybody that's big. I just hate that, because here's the effect when it goes to Disney. I'll bring it back to Disney. I'll just connect it in some way. Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana, right? Miley Cyrus breaks away from that character after she's been big for a while. She continues being big because everyone knows her as Hannah Montana, but now we're getting into the Miley Cyrus. She puts out Can't Stop Us. She has a couple other songs, or We Can't Stop, sorry. A couple other
Wrecking
songs.
Ball.
Wrecking Ball. None of those written by her, by the way. Fun facts about that. Literally no contribution to the writing. It's amazing. She's so good at singing that people will just forget that they're not actually, feeling anything they're saying. It hurts me to know that. And then she puts out this horrible album, Miley Cyrus and Her Dead Pets. And no matter what, after that album, I would have been done. I would have tapped out. I could not listen to it for more than 5 tracks. I was like, what is going on? Why would anyone want to listen to this? Everyone's roasting it. The whole world's like, yeah, fuck Miley Cyrus. We don't have to listen anymore. And then she puts out a new single that's good. And then people are like, I always loved her. Like, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get people that actually only like one part of you and not the whole experience that you're supposed to bring. Your versatility, Eddie, you're working with multiple genres, working with multiple musicians, multiple styles, and you're just constantly a workhorse. You have this chug, like you're like a train going up a hill, and you have this endless amount of energy to get all the way to the top, and you still keep going. You're going into the clouds, and it's still going. I don't want to put my hand up like a Nazi, but like it just, you have that momentum. Yeah, the momentum just keeps going up and up and up for you, because you're just building more and more of what you are as a musician. You're just showing more and more, and you keep saying like, I didn't do that. Well, why didn't I try that? Let me try that. And that's what is more important about it. And then there's people that stick to one niche, and they've been part of this forever, and that's all they'll ever be known for. But they'll try something different. Everyone will hate them, and then they'll return back to the thing, and they'll be like, I knew this guy was always great. I hate that. That's fair weather fans and friends.
Yeah, and it's what was really fascinating too, when like going back to live music here locally, when the restrictions were being lifted during when the pandemic was ending, just about to end. I remember I made that return. I decided to make that return to go back to the open mic circle again, right? Mm-hmm. And because you talk about like even in terms of trying to redefine yourself again, right? You find ways to reinvent yourself, and so part of it was to return to open mics again in person. And I remember like the whole scene changed a lot. There was a bunch of new people I've never met before, and just like how I felt during the whole virtual era in 2020, I felt like I was starting from square one again, back to the drawing board, but in that very exciting way, and it's like, like you were saying, trying new things, right? Revisiting something that maybe I haven't done in a while. So the open mic circuit was that same feeling I had, revisiting that again. Like here I am riding that train that you mentioned, yes, as the metaphor. The train's still going. I'm just hanging into a different station, right? And so, next stop, right? The Vancouver open mic scene, and here I am. It's a brand new scene now. It's different, a different cast of people, different cast of characters, but I'm willing to give this a shot because I want to connect with these people, right? And it's like hitting a different world, but man, what better way to do that than to check it out, but yeah, like you were saying, with being versatile, I want to try these different things because you don't know what you're missing. You could be discovering something that's very beautiful, And with me going back to the open mic circle again, with these new roster of talent, we've built a really fantastic community out of that. You know, these are my my new friends. I ended up becoming that I've added to my friendship list, and it's really cool to do that. We're all different in our own different musical styles, genres and whatnot, musical tastes, but there's something about this chemistry we have that brings us together somehow, you know?
Yes. And okay, so this is actually going into the final question I have for you. What is it that you would want to tell your fan base, your supporters, your community, if you could give them a word of advice to finish this show?
Oh boy. I know I said this many times, right? But yeah, community is always going to be way better. I gotta rephrase that.
You're good.
I'm a little bit tired too. So, community is going to be way better than competition. It is. It absolutely is. Community is what is going to keep your scene thriving. So it's always good to get off your high horse, swallow your pride, and don't think about the competition. Don't think about the fact that you're above everybody else. Your goal should be to connect with other people in your scene and go to their shows. Just say hi to them, ask them how they're doing. If you guys go to the same open mic night, meet them there, and just, say hi to them. Stick around for their set during the open mic and let them know, hey, I really enjoyed your stuff. Is there anything you want me to do to support you somehow? Right. And whether it's just listening to their stuff on online, or you can buy their music, it helps, right? But it all starts with making sure that we put our egos aside and just get together with other like-minded people that you can see yourself hang around with, and just go from there and just build. Part of the building blocks of it is just make sure you're nice to each other.
Amen to that, man. You can't spell community without unity. Fun fact.
Yes.
And the reason that I say that is because there seems to be an everlasting force in almost every scene, whether it's music or sports. There's always this, like you were saying, competition that really divides people and makes people have one mindset that might oppose another person's views. The good news is none of that matters when you're creating.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
You can put all of that to the side. In America, political stuff comes up all the time. And the last thing I talk about is political stuff. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not important to me. What is important to me is that you're following your dreams. You're following your passion. You're putting together something that you're proud of. And I'm proud to give that to other people, to share that with other people. And the only reason is because I know it's coming from your heart. It's coming from your soul. It's coming from a genuine part of you that needs to release something, whether that's going to be a book, a music album, a movie, a script, a poem, like just something about it. Art always has affected me. The right side of my brain is so much more used than my left side. Math is not my strong suit. But yeah, I will say, like, it's lovely to hear that you have that same mindset of like, let's just get along. Let's support each other. And especially if you can, of course, help out others, ask them what you can do to give them that support. And if you guys are, working stagehand or anything like that, please help these people set up, close down, whatever they have to do. There's a great band I had on my podcast called Crushing Plains. They would get so close to the Houston scene. Everybody in the scene, because they're helping out at shows, set up, close down, put instruments away, pack up, get along with everyone. And because of that community that you form will take you so much further. One in 10 bands, and I'll go by this statistic that I've basically learned on my own. 1 in 10 bands will have the opportunity to be big.
Yeah.
Don't you want to be friends with one of those bands so that you can be on their level or become part of that? You can be the 2 out of 10. And it would be incredible. The only way you can do that is to keep those connections, if it's of course not a toxic situation, but like to keep those connections and just to say like, yeah, dude, great set. Yeah, dude, I really love what you're doing. Yeah, dude, this is great. But when you're in your own head and you're telling yourself, I'm the best, or they're the best and I'll never be at their level, that's what's going to cause the divide. You should never compare yourself to others. You know, you have your own thing. Everyone has their own special part of them that I love promoting. And right now we got to hear Eddie's whole basic, you know, understanding as he's grown as a musician and as a person. And I just love having him here because his mindset is so free from closed-minded, you know, predispositions. And I love that, dude. So happy that you're here.
Thanks, man. And thank you for having me be a part of this. I think one more thing I should probably add to, especially all the independent musicians out there, is remember, guys, never let anyone rip you off.
Yeah.
And that's the most important part of it as well. Don't let people rip you off financially. And honesty is always really important too. Because like, honestly, because when these people rip you off, whenever I see these people, like, you know, these so-called promoters who rip off independent musicians, right, financially, you know, it makes me sick to my stomach, right? And it, you know, and that's why it's just like, you know what, guys, if people underpay you for all that hard work you put into your performance, you have every right to walk away. You can be like, no, man, like a lot of work goes into what I do. Like we as artists should be compensated really well, very fairly, because it's what we want to do for a living, and it does help pay our bills. It's great, but you know, like non-musicians should. I challenge non-musicians to sit down, not only sit down, but literally follow any hardworking local musician who's done a lot, and follow them around. Go to the behind the scenes things. See them set up all this gear. See them haul all this gear into your vehicles. See them set up the stage, the microphones. See them go through sound check, right? See all the email conversations between the show organizers and the other clients that they entertain. See
how many lawyers they know. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Try to get in touch with one of them because somebody's going to get sued down the line, and you need to have a backup plan.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what my whole point, right? Is that
be prepared.
Non-musicians should have a look at what independent musicians are doing behind the scenes. Sit with them, and they're going to be like, holy crap, man, like that is a lot of work. And then they're going to be like, I have so much respect for you because now I see what you do. I see your planning process. I see all that stuff already. Now I get it. Now I really get it.
And in simplest terms, I'll just say this. If you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people. If you want to be annoyed, surround yourself with people that only complain about how they're not successful. And if you want to be the best, tell yourself that number 2 is always the best because you have something to look forward to next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's important. Number 1, we already made it very clear with the reality show mentality, but like you don't really go anywhere. You've done it. Congratulations, but you fade away. You don't want to be fading away. You want to be something that lasts forever. You want to stick in our minds. You want to play in our hearts and in our heads all the time. We have earworms that come from these number 2 and number 3 and number 4 and number 10 artists that we don't get from number 1 artists. So keep creating. Don't worry about becoming number 1. It's not for everybody, and it usually doesn't pay off.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this too, like, because you were talking about surrounding yourself with a good deal of people. And remember, guys, if you see anyone that has really terrible work ethics, run.
Yeah, if you see somebody that's slacking or not putting their full, heart and soul into what they're doing,
or treating other people in the community like crap, like
Yeah.
That's why I write the song Lying Stars, because there's
Yeah.
people who abuse their power, who really abuse their power. Yeah, you have every right to step away from it and get a change of scenery, you know? Be with some really good people who are going to treat you well and treat each other well, too. And hopefully they
Yes.
influence you in that good way.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to another amazing episode of the podcast. This was my friend Eddie Lam. Please check out all of his information in the description right down below. Eddie Lam Music on Instagram and TikTok, I believe. Check out his band Cry of Silence. Check out his podcast, The Eddie Lam Show. He has incredible people on all the time. If you've ever heard of Taylor Acorn, I highly recommend one of his first couple episodes, because you might find out a lot more about that band than you originally knew. Other than that, I really hope you guys had a great time listening or watching, and I hope you have an amazing day and stay safe out there. Peace.
Awesome. See ya.